there's a huge amount of these unicorns with these kind of ridiculous valuations and $1 million in ARR. What happens to them? I mean, there's literally 1,000, I'm sure, close to 1,000. So what will happen to unicorns that are doing okay, but they're never going to get back to that last round price? I had over 1,000x ARR in my first fund. 500k ARR, 750 million pre by one of the best growth funds. What happens to these hundreds and hundreds of unicorns that aren't there?
Harry, that's the beauty to it being in the last fund. You don't. I bet everyone in venture gets one duo. One duo. This is what I was taught when I entered. You get one mulligan fund. This is what I was taught. You get one mulligan fund. Maybe it's not true today, but I think there's going to be a lot of mulligan funds out there.
Okay, but that's actually also a really interesting point, which is, Mike, you said that you like to speak to your LPs and hear the commonalities with what they're saying. I speak to mine, and they all say when they look at their venture books, I got no idea where to place them. If you guys were to answer that to LPs, how should we think about the book values of the last vintage? Is this just a load of mulligans?
It's really interesting. One of our LPs was sharing with us that despite the market being up the last 2 quarters, in December, the end of the year quarter, and the financials they got in April from most funds, was the first time they really saw the venture valuations dramatically fall. And his thesis was, it's not like we all started grading our own homework better. It's just that we really actually had to show stuff to auditors. And because we had to do that, it changed things. And the funny thing about that is I don't actually think the auditors really do that much on valuation, in my opinion, besides just make sure you're following your own rules, right? But I think some of it is the 18-month safe harbor that was nonsense all along that everyone has used. All of a sudden, that's starting to expire for a lot of funds and companies. But I think the answer to your question, Harry, is a little bit of a depressing one. One of 3 things are going to happen to those companies, right? They're either going to take the extraordinary amount of cash they got, cut their burn rates down, and figure out how to build real companies. And by the way, many of those will still never raise money ever again, but they'll build real companies and find real exits. They're going to find a kick save somewhere because they might have something kind of working and there's someone out there who's willing to buy it, but it's going to be for catastrophically low price relative to the valuation, or they're just going to go under because it takes them so long to realize that this extraordinary amount of money they raised is actually a liability, not an asset. And they're just going to keep going because they're going to think they can fake it till they make it. And nobody is ever going to fund them again because nobody wants to. Again, like if you're recapping a $100 million revenue company at a $1 billion valuation, but it really should be recapped, people will do that work. But if you're recapping a $3 million run rate revenue company with a $1 billion valuation, there aren't a lot of people who are willing to do that work, right? It's just not work that people want to do. Go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, I said life is too short.
Okay. So
do you think these founders, do you think of the 1,000 unicorns, that all makes sense? I think a lot of them will quiet quit.
Yes.
Look, the preference, it's not just the preference, it's everything. It's too much. Like I raised 300 million to $1 billion. I can't see it, Eric. Like I could see, great, there's a $200 million exit and yeah, I'll get a carve out and I'll make some money, but I can't recruit a team anymore. It's too much work. Like I'm not going to truly quit, but I'll go to Spain. I'll do whatever. I will work 3 days a week. And it's almost natural to quiet quit if the weight is too crushing, right, of expectations.
I think some of them are actually going to loud quit. They're
there'll be more loud quits too. See ya.